Um, but nursing was not really my first choice. I think I actually wanted to be an engineer. At first, I'd already written my exams. Jam back here in Nigeria, we write what we call jam. It's what we an exam you uh, write with the jam board before you proceed to the university. So I've written the exams and I've passed. So my sister, my elder sister, just mentioned that there's an exam they're writing now, more like an aptitude test for a nursing school. In Nigeria, the nursing school usually call it nursing and midwifery, right? So there is a school, there's an institution around in my state where both nurses and midwives are trained in the same environment, right? Different principals, but the same environment. So I just said, okay, let me register for the exam and write. I registered for the exam. The following day, I went to write the exam, right? So why it was not a premeditated choice. I didn't really think about it like, okay, should I go for nursing? Should I go for this? It was a matter of choice. I didn't actually wanted to be a nurse, but as it went for me, I after the exams I got more interested in it. I actually wrote exam for midwifery, right? I'm a registered certified midwife. All right, it was after my graduation in midwifery and I went to do my degree, bachelor's degree in nursing science in another institution. And then I had already started working. My practice had already begun, so I encountered a lot of challenges as well along the way because, of course, the profession is a female dominated profession. So there were concerns from my friends, from my family. Why would I choose? You know, they would have felt more better if I had pursued my initial choice of becoming an engineer. I wanted to study computer engineering precisely. All right, so yeah,
It's funny
but
how life throws you different curveballs, eh? And you think your life's gonna go
yeah,
this way, and then it goes that way
because
instead.
that, yeah, right. So it went on. It was my choice anyways. So no one could actually stop me. And again, I found this passion, or more like an energy. I couldn't resist the the desire to pursue my nursing career anymore because I had already gotten the admission. I started the school, and then during the studies a lot of things it's going to take a long day if I begin to explain all the challenges, but bottom line they were related to the fact that being a guy in a female dominated profession, and then as a matter of fact I started with midwifery, so there were not a lot of midwives then. All right, not male. In
Yeah.
fact, I was the only guy in my class, in my set. We were two. The other one didn't make it because of the how rigorous the training was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very, 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 very challenging. And then after graduation, I couldn't get a job because like make an application, I say you. Of course, my name sounds feminine. When people hear winner, they think it's a lady. They'll place a call across or send an email or a text that you have a job interview at so place. Sometimes when they hear my voice, like, is it okay? We have a wrong number. Or you get to the interview, they're like, ah, are you coming for the job? Of course, they want nurses, whether nurses or midwife, they prefer female, not necessarily because it's what the environment demands, right? So
Yeah.
the patients, the mother, the expecting mother, the children, they all prefer a feminine touch, so to say. Uh, but of course, men do it better. From what I've seen so far, men actually do not seem better. I'm not saying it because I'm a man anyway, but but men do it better. All right. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
through my degree program and still practicing as
Oh,
a uh, nursing manager in my facility. That's a long another long story. I got there, but yeah. Yeah. Um, I prefer to see myself as an advocate for healthcare and healthcare professionals because we the throughout my journey the challenges I've seen so far or rather encountered they more they are more generic, right? From the very root there are some of these challenges we caused it to ourselves as healthcare professionals and other challenges happen to us, right? What I'm trying to say is there are things that are going wrong within the healthcare system that was as a result of or were as a result of certain behaviors or reaction that came from healthcare professionals themselves. That is, we did it to ourselves and others happened to us, maybe government policies and other what's it called now? Political influence, right?
mm,
So these challenges I'm talking about, they are not really abstract. For example, um, the current global issue, brain drain, right, where uh, staffs or qualified and experienced healthcare professionals keep migrating from one country, precisely from Africa to the West, you know, UK, Canada, and all these places.
mm.
It's really causing a major challenge. I don't think we have realized the extent of the damage that has done to us, right? And
Mm,
mostly we can blame the government or the healthcare management institutions
mhm.
for not setting up a good staff or yeah staff welfare package remuneration and all these other allowances that are able to cater for the needs of these healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
So it has caused a chain of reaction, a ripple effect on the entire system. Because imagine in an organization you have, take for example, you have a highly qualified and recognized medical officer in a particular field, a specialty, maybe cardiothoracic surgery, and then the person leaves the country and goes to say US, right? The entire system there is in chaos. What it means is that those patients, there may be others who can do the job, right? But there may not be others who can do the kind of work that this particular professional is able to do. So it creates a vacuum, and that vacuum is places restriction on the kind of cases the hospital is able to take and is able to treat, and e also
Mm,
place a barrier for others that are coming in to be able to learn. Because the medical practice or healthcare institution generally is not just for treatment, it's also where we carry out learning activities, right? So if we are unable to admit some cases, it automatically means we can't learn about some cases as well. It also means that the absence of one qualified staff has resulted to uh, our inability to sustain the level of care, the quality of care, and continuous guarantee of us being able to produce more professionals in that same field. It means that if you are going to train, you need to go outside to train. And
Mm.
going out to train, most it's a guarantee. It's not, there's no guarantee that you're coming back. All right.
Yeah.
So we are more than away our human resources. We're also giving out our future entirely.
Mm.
So it has caused and is causing a lot of challenges. Before that, you will now be talking about budget, low healthcare budget, and all this stuff. What's it called now? Poor infrastructure. But the main practical problem or challenges has that is affecting us and is really really alarming is the brain drain that is uh, happening in the system. Is the root of a lot of problems, honestly. Yeah, some of it, like, yeah, the brain drain, yeah, is there. And of course it has resulted to shortage of staff, general shortage of staff, because the healthcare need is still there. In fact, it's increasing because
Mm.
of the new uh, disease burden and the lack of specialists around. So imagine if you had 10 staff working in a particular unit, 3 or 4 persons have traveled out of the country. Automatically means you carry more burden, more patient burden. If you're seeing 5 patients a day, you need to be seeing 15 patients a day. I understand the fact that in nursing is the same thing, right? Last last year in Nigeria, within 2020 to 2025, about 75,000 nurses left the country to US, UK, abroad, wherever. 75,000 nurses. And in Nigeria, we produce about 28,000 nurses in a year. 28,000 nurses in a year, and 75,000 are living in 5 years, the interval of five. You can calculate how many years of investment have left, of investment and manpower. That's close to 3 years or more, right? So losing that much nurses, and we are not just talking about manpower, you are talking about experience, you are talking about quality of care, going out. So it creates a increased workload, right, for those that are around. And even if we are creating more nurses, right, we are uh, producing more nurses, you are not producing them with the same amount of experience as those that have left, right? Nurses may be around, but not that experience, that skill
Mm.
that others have built. They're not there. They are not there to mentor them, neither are they there to work with them,
Mm.
right? So the
So you're saying
challenge
like
does
you're saying
expand.
like as the years go on, you watching a complete decline of the skill level of staff.
Yeah. See, it's a
Yeah.
it's an unfortunate thing, but that's what is happening gradually. It's more like the system is being adulterated. The
Mm.
quality is going down along with the staff that are going out. All right.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. Like I said, it's just one issue causing a lot of other problems, which we
Mm.
have really not been able to comprehend the extent of what is going on. Not spoken about enough. Well, I would look at the humanity of care, what it takes to actually care. All right, because in order to be a healthcare professional, you need to care. It's not like every other profession where you just follow guidelines and rules and regulations and all. Of course, there are professional obligations, ethics and etiquette. But to be a healthcare professional, you really need to care. And the way our world is progressing now, one would need a lot of strength and grace to maintain your humanity, because work is strictly transactional now, strictly transactional. So when you talk about things like empathy, compassion, uh, these are things that require a lot of human strength, and we are losing that now because everything is becoming transactional. There's something I wrote about, or I'm writing about in my book called survivor mode. Healthcare professional right now, they are in survivor mode, right? And what I mean by that is the there is a major disconnect between caring, all right, the amount of humanity that they put into the work, rather than just working. You know, how much are they paying me? I'll just do what I'm supposed to do and go. Right? It's kind of, it's, should I say, it's not necessarily the stress, right? Of course, the stress is there because of the workload and all, but then there is an emotional disconnect, the emotional exhaustion that comes with
mm,
the work that we do as healthcare professional. You know, it cannot really be compensated for, and these are things that people don't see, right? Seeing a lot of people, come into the facility where you work, and with different challenges and problems, and then you try to help them, and whilst you are helping them, you you require your emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion, that you need to take care of these persons that are in your facility. And then at the end of the day, you leave exhausted, right? Drained, not just physically, mentally and emotionally, right? And that is causing, with the amount of workload now, it has multiplied. The confusion is there. People are tired. They are tired. I think there's a word for this, burnout, right?
mm,
They're experiencing a lot of burnout in the system now, and it's not necessarily because of stress. The purpose for care has declined. Everything now, like I said, is just transactional. You do the barest minimum and go your way and get your pay. you know we don't talk
yeah,
about this, just like this, because of your question. We don't really talk about this much, but it's a reality. Everybody are in
mm,
survival mode. Healthcare
yeah,
generally is on survival mode. And even the choice of which area to go, which area to specialize, is based on survival mode, because which one pays better.
mm, yeah,
Passion has taken the back seat, right? There's nothing like passion anymore. It's just which one pays better, which one gives me a better opportunity, right? Not
mm,
which one gives me purpose, which one gives
mm,
me more opportunity to serve. You look
yeah,
around, what do the people need more? Do they need more of a cardiothoracic nurse, or do they need more of a mental health nurse, or do they need more of of ICU intensive care nurse, or no? All right, people are gravitating towards the lucrative, and
yeah,
other areas are scarce, whereas those areas are where there is high demand in terms of patient need, but nobody cares. Everybody want more money, right?
mm,
So all the exhaustion that comes with it, there's we have detached our emotions from the work. Yeah, that's exactly what it
mm,
is. The
mm,
the the passion can't survive, right? Passion don't survive with this kind of system we are running now, or we find ourselves now. Passion cannot survive in it.
mm,
It's hard. It takes a lot of strength to keep that passion, to really want to help, to really want to care. It takes a lot of strength because at the end of the day, you need to eat, you need to pay your bills, you need to, take care of yourself. Life need to go on, and they are not policies, they are not system that has been set up by the government or anybody for that matter to take care of you. So you have to look out for yourself. So it's not like uh, we have less humanity in the world, but system have forced people, into being taking that position or this position in their heart and in their career. So that's it is what it is.
yeah.
Maybe not intentionally, but it has really affected the because healthcare system is like a moving train, right? People hop in at every station, right? As others are going out, others are coming in. So others are going out, others are coming in. And one of the things that help us to sustain quality care, like I said, is the system of succession, right? You you mentor those that are coming in so that they can continue the work, all right? But if the mentors are not available, those that are coming in are confused. They don't know how the work is being done the way it should be done. They come with their own set of rules and begin to change things gradually. And
Mm,
over time, the entire identity of the system is lost. And what I mean by the identity of the system, the identity of care, right? Taking care is called health care for a reason. And you can't care, you can't take care of somebody if you don't care. It's more like who you are first, right? And that is how people choose their career. They choose their career based on who they are fundamentally, what you can do, what calls you, what compels you, what gives you a passion or burning desire, right? So you see these workplace challenges, right? It's it has affected, just like I said, it has affected a lot of things that impacted a lot of things, including confidence. I remember when I started practicing at first. I An incident happened in the hospital. That was my first year after school, and I was just being a good nurse. I was teaching the patient, someone who has been discharged, how to administer self-administered insulin. All right. So she didn't get me. She misunderstood something I said, and when she got home, she got confused. Instead of calling, she, she called anyways, but she called my boss, who's the person in charge of the facility, and misinterpreted what I said. And then I got a call from my boss. Why would I tell the patient like this? Yelling and shouting, and you know, he made some comments, right? Some very strong comments that made me feel so small, like I don't know what I'm doing, like I'm not professional. So my confidence was shattered after the conversation, right? So I began to question a lot of things. I sat down and was thinking, you know, where I was coming from, the things I've heard about the profession, this is a female profession, and kind of stuff. So everything was just like it was a moment of deep reflection for me, because I I know I didn't do anything wrong, but that's the reality. When you are in private practice, right? In private practice, the person speaking wants to protect their business. So it doesn't matter whether you are right or wrong. The patient is always right. Is something we usually say. The patient is always right. It's even worse in the private practice, right? You need to make sure that your words, your action are clean. There is no room for error. And if you are not uh, capable of guaranteeing that level of excellence, it's better you're quiet. So by the time you see how mistake is being treated, how uh, questions are being answered from your superior, from the management, it determines whether you speak up when you observe something that is not wrong. So an excellent and a confidence is like a muscle. It's something you need to do, to engage, to build it, to grow it up, right? So for somebody who is fresh, a fresh graduate who is just coming into the system, when you meet a culture on ground that does not encourage people to ask questions, to take initiative, to do something, your confidence level will be zero, right? You observe a system or an event or something that will probably harmful to the patient or not good enough for the system, but you can't say anything, you can't approach it because you've seen what will happen if you do. So the system is somewhat not designed to encourage people speaking up, to encourage people taking initiative, even advocating for patient care, for better service and for quality service, right? So because I practice in a private institution, not government owned, right? Even in government facility, I trained in government facility, but the rules are not entirely different. The only difference is that this one, there is somebody who owns it, who is very, very particular about how you treat the patient and what the patient says. So it depends on the system, right? And the system also has a lot to do with how uh, confidence is being modeled, and is affecting a lot of things. Honestly, it is, because like I said, patient safety is at stake in a system where people cannot speak up, especially nurses, because they are practically with the patient all the time. If
Mm.
they can't air out their concerns about patient safety, about their the kind of care, the kind of system, the environment, and ideas, and take initiative, then it's not a good system entirely. Okay. Burnout. I think, I believe burnout is one of the most misunderstood statements or word
Mm.
now, because the reason why I said so is most people confuse burnout with stress.
Mm.
Stress is physical, fatigue. You are tired, you are having headache, your back is paining you, you are feeling drowsy, dizzy. That's stress, or probably an illness, but it's not the same thing as burnout, right? And that is why a lot of persons are leaving, because the other part of this, okay, let me add this now. The other part of brain drain we are talking about in healthcare is not just people leaving the country, right? There are people that are leaving the profession. There are nurses and doctors I know, they didn't leave the country, they just changed occupation. They left the system and go into something else. They are now entrepreneurs, selling and buying and selling goods and services, doing something else other than in the medical field. That's also brain drain. When you have capable hands that the system have choked life out of them, they need to find another way to survive, right? And even those that are around, they are not fully there. There's something, a concept we call side hustle, right? They work, that is your primary work. You now have something else you are doing at the side to get money. So
Yes.
they, yeah, so they help the what's it called now? They Their work as healthcare professionals has become the side hustle. The main hustle, the main work is the one bringing in the money. Of course, there's no money in healthcare. There are no nurses billionaires or doctors billionaires that I know. The most wealthiest people, they are not healthcare professionals. So of course, an industry for philanthropy. It's not for money, right? So back to what I was saying. Brain drain, I believe, it's is as a result of lack of purpose. When you wake up in the morning and you realize you don't have the energy, the drive to be a caregiver anymore, to take care of patients, to render your service anymore, that's the beginning of fatigue. That's the beginning of burnout. When you've lost that drive, that energy, all right. And what eventually happens is you fall into the survivor mode. You become a survivor in the system you are supposed to thrive. You begin to give your barest minimum because maybe you feel you are not encouraged, you are not appreciated, the salary or the remuneration is not encouraging. You work so hard, earn so little, a lot of problems are compounding, you know, challenges, expose yourself to medical and biological hazards, only you don't have anything to show. After 5 years of practice, nothing to show for it, and all these things. One day you wake up, because we are humans, one day you wake up and you lose your energy. That's burnout. So burnout is something that occurs at an internal level, right? It happens to you inside, and then it begins to show outside, not necessarily by a physical condition. Like you feel tired, your daily stress, it will contribute to stress, but by the time you started having physical symptoms, right, like tiredness, throwing tantrums and all, is then burnout has already set in, because immediately you woke up and you realize that you lost your energy. You are not looking forward to impacting life, to changing life, to taking care of, you know, the sick, you know, just like the way we're doing before. That's burnout. Burnout has set in, and is majorly a lack of purpose or a loss of purpose. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I, People think there's a lot of money in healthcare, right? That's wrong. Very, very wrong. Like I said before, there are no billionaire nurses I know. Neither are there billionaire doctors. And even if there are, their money did not come from healthcare. It came from other adventures or that they do, right? And also, uh, I know people feel that healthcare professionals are emotionally detached from their work, right? Because we see a lot of cases every day, bad cases for that matter. You know, for one family, it's just one person that died, whereas for us, in that same day, that's the third person that is dying. You know, the emotional stress, the you are stretched, right? You are being stretched emotionally, and it begins to create the impression that they don't really care. Somebody will die, a nurse will just walk in, okay, I want to do a last office, tying things up, and the people are crying, like wondering what kind of person is this? Somebody just died. Why are you acting like, without considering the fact that he's just doing his job? They are just doing their job, right? In fact, that same bed, another person who is alive will come and lie on that same bed where your relative dies from. So there's this, impression that people have that healthcare professionals are not, they are not in touch with their
Mm,
humanity, while
mm,
there are sides of it
yeah,
where we already spoke about. Um, it's not true, all right?
yeah,
It's not
yeah, yeah,
true.
yeah.
We are the death of a patient and a client, is it takes a toll. It takes it. I remember when I lost my first, but then I was still a student during a clinical posting. I didn't feel good for the whole day. Throughout the night, went back to that ward. I couldn't look in that direction, you know. But over the years, we've learned not to grieve in front of uh patients, right? You are supposed to
Yeah.
be the carer. You're supposed to be the carer. So we take a disposition where we keep everything in and then process it later or afterwards. So it creates that impression to people that we don't really care, but that's not true. Yeah, confidence is a lot. Uh, that's a lot. Although that's not the fundamental thing, right? Based on my work or the work I do with nurse esteem, the focus mainly is identity, right? I talk about the eighth dimension of nurse esteem, which is identity. Once you recognize I'm a nurse, I should be able to know what that means, right? Who I am as a nurse, like my unique contribution. It's just like you're growing up, you have you have a sister. There are things that you want to ask. Let's say you want to ask for money for school fee or for something, you go to your dad to ask, right? But when you want food, you go to your mom to ask. Why didn't you go to your dad to ask for food, right? So as nurses, we should people should be able to know that this is your unique responsibility, hands on, right? Just like a lady cannot go when she's hitting puberty, cannot go to the father to ask the father, give how does how do I take care of myself when I'm beginning to have my monthly flow and all. We rather go to the mother, right? So there are things that you acknowledge someone's uniqueness based on what they can do and based on who they are, right? If I should um most the most reason why people send for a nurse in the hospital is because they probably want to take an injection, right? They want to have their vitals checked, or they want him or her to carry out a particular procedure. Hardly do you see where they call a nurse to get their insight on something, right? They say, okay, as a nurse, what do you think? You hardly hear things like that, and that's because the the awareness, the consciousness of who a nurse is not understood, not even by nurses or by the community the or by outside. So the fundamental thing is the identity. Once you know who you are, your unique contribution to healthcare, what makes you unique, right? And then you build on that identity to be able to do those things, which is competence. What comes after competence then is confidence. Because if you have skill and you can't show it, that skill is really of no use, right? So confidence is what bring out your uniqueness. It's what brings out your skill. Is what makes your skill to have value, right? A nurse can be so knowledgeable, right? I remember there was a time in the round at the hospital, we were having a meeting contributing to a particular patient, what we do usually. Then one of she had something, had a contribute, she observed something, right? And because there were doctors, consultants, and all these persons there, and some of us were there as well, but she didn't say anything. She saw something that none of us saw, but she didn't say anything. After the rounds, we were heading back to our station. Then she now came and met me that I think this patient would benefit more. Immediately I shouted, why didn't you say so at the bedside, right? This is someone who has, you have a knowledge, you have an input that can contribute to patients recovery,
Mm.
health, and you kept quiet. Why? because at the end of the day we are all humans, right? We can all be looking at things from one perspective. Just one person who is seeing another picture that is crucial to the care of that person, only for that person not to have enough confidence to speak up, and the patient might remain another day in the hospital, 2 days, or probably because of that omission. Now, not omission, because of lack of confidence or your lack of confidence, someone now has to stay in the hospital for an extended period of time
mm,
or suffer more throughout the night until someone else who is confident enough to say this is what this patient needs. So it's very important, right? It's very, very important. Like I said, we are losing our voice, although it has the root cause has more to do with the issue of identity before we talk about confidence, because you can't have confidence about being something you don't even know you are, right? So the awareness has to be there first. I need to know that I'm capable of something before I'm confident enough to say I am capable of something, right? So confidence is a very, very important. That is why some of our leaders, they can't challenge the government, they can't challenge this. They allow those at the bottom, those at the lower, you know, cadres of authority to be protesting, to be going on strike, to be challenging the government, while our leaders, our immediate leaders, can't do that. So lack of confidence is not just something that happens at this level, it happens up there too, right? Although there are many other political factors that should consider, but primarily someone who has been trained, who has learned to speak up or to speak out, will always do so wherever they are.
mm.
Okay, practical habits. All right. I said earlier that confidence is like a muscle, right? It's something you build from time to time. The culture has to be created, and before a child learns how to walk, there are two ways a child can actually learn how to walk. It's either he or she is trained by someone who knows how to walk, or the child observe by theirself someone who can walk and then copy the person. So if we have people who are willing to train, because someone, you can't sit and say I have confidence, I have confidence. It's not an affirmation to build. It's something to practice, something you need to engage in, right? And it comes by someone acknowledging the strength in you, right? Someone needs to acknowledge a superior who acknowledge the strength in you, and that's where mentorship comes in, right? Someone needs to acknowledge the strength in you, that you can do this, you have this kind of ability, you have this kind of strength to do this, and then you begin to take the leap to do those things that you have been encouraged to do. Then secondly, you observe, you see how your mentors, right, your superiors are able to stand and speak, right, and advocate for patients, for relatives, for better care, for better working conditions and all, and then you follow. So those are the two ways to do that. But then at the very fundamental level, what comes before confidence is competence, because confidence without competence is dangerous. It's just like bragging that you know how to do something and you don't really know how to do it. You just want to feel because this thing they used to tell us some months, so some years back, and then when we were looking for job, right? They'll say that if they ask you, do you know how to do this thing? Don't say no. Say yes. Then look for a way to learn it behind and then go out to it. You can't do that in healthcare, right? You can't do that in healthcare because you are dealing with lives. If you make a mistake, means somebody will die or something will go wrong really badly. So for healthcare, you don't skip competence into confidence. Whatever you are boasting, or whatever you are yearning to be or become, you need to put in the work. So that's where continuous learning comes in. You need to be committed to learning, reading, improving, right? Growing, studying the text, watching videos, whatever skill that you are trying to build, right? Or whatever field you find yourself within the healthcare system, like nursing for example. You attend workshops because you will be able to know, and once you are able to know, you'll be yeah, it's everything. It's
Mm.
everything, and which is part of the thing I just said, that
Yeah.
you need to have a mental picture of what it looks like,
Mm.
what confidence looks like. You need to have that mental picture, like you know that this is what it looks like. This is a model to follow, right?
Mm.
And in medical practice, they have this, right? You see a senior doctor, once he meet, maybe they have not met this doctor anywhere before. You just identify yourself. Oh, yeah, you're a medical officer. Okay, I'm a chief consultant. Immediately, he takes the posture or the responsibility of teaching the person. You don't have to ask for that. It's a culture that has been created in their profession that helps them to mentor their junior ones, no matter where they are or who they are. And that is how it should be, right? That you are able to 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 serve. You may not be paid for it. The moment where you call a junior staff and sit them and say, come, this is how this procedure is done. Next time when you are doing this, take the consent, do this and do that. Follow me, let me show you how to do it.
Mm.
Right? That's mentorship. On your own, because you lack the knowledge and the experience, you may be shy, you may be you may be afraid because you don't want to cause harm to the patient. But when a senior person goes with you have more confidence.
Mm.
And by the time he or she goes with you once or twice, you don't need them the third time. You can go on your own and do it. So that is how we pass knowledge. That is how we maintain standard.
Mm.
Mentorship and service. That's how we maintain standard, right? Because
Yeah.
the quality you are taught, the same quality you teach another person. Right? But if that is absent, and someone who has confidence but no competence will come and cause damage, and someone who has competence but no confidence will also come and cause damage because they won't know how to do it. What you know in your head and what you can do in your hand, they are two different things. There's a link, and that link is mentorship. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The truth is you will never really be satisfied in healthcare, the way not the way it is now. Maybe in the future when things get better. So you you might, or you will have, there will be moments, right? There will be moments for me where I question my career choice. Did you make a mistake, or did I make a mistake choosing this path and all? And one thing that has kept me going is the purpose. The the purpose. Why am I doing this? Right? Why am I doing this? And it's important to know that for everybody within a healthcare system, your why or your purpose cannot be money. If it's money, then you're in the wrong profession. It cannot be money. And I always tell my team and nurses that your major reason for being here is service. If you are not inclined to serving, because how much can they pay you? How much can somebody pay you to take care of another person, another total stranger for a whole day, right? You are cleaning the person up, body fluids all flying around, pathogens and all manner of things flying around for the whole day. That amount of hazard cannot be compensated by money. It has to give you a form of satisfaction for the money to even make sense, right? So there will be moments, right? There will be times where you question the entire thing. So you need to know for yourself, right? Within yourself, the purpose, a conscious awareness of this is why I'm doing this, right? I'm here to serve first, then to make money. Money can come second, right? Which is there, right? But it can't have it cannot be first. If it is first, you cause a lot of damage, you have a lot of job dissatisfaction, you have burnout, you have fatigue, you most likely leave the profession somewhere else to go and find something else to do, because every system, every profession in this world has their own challenges, right? Healthcare is not any different. It's a profession. Even though it's a noble profession, it's still a profession, right? Just like every other profession, and you experience these challenges. So if you don't have a good, you know a core reason why you are doing this, which is where I talk about purpose and service, you cannot be resilient. You break at some point and probably leave, or chase another career, or leave the country to where the system is better. And even from what I see in the news and all, there's not really much difference. There's not really much difference, apart from some political and safety issue, insecurity and all. um yeah, the system, the association and governing bodies and all, for at least for nursing that I know, and even other medical councils as well, they are highly political, right? So everything is just political. um like I said from the beginning, right, the major issue is generic. It's generic. We we want to see changes in terms of the work culture, salaries of staff, welfare, you know, and before we talk about having more persons, more staff around. Because like I said, we don't lack staff. We lack and we don't. We lack qualified staff, or we lack experienced staff, but we don't lack staff generally, right? There are still more. There are still young ones who don't really understand what healthcare is yet. Some of them, they're just there to probably step up and find a career, to travel out of the country, or just for some other reason other than care. So we are in danger, right? We're in danger now and even in the future if nothing is done about it. So we we need to come to the point where we are able to sponsor healthcare, right? Sponsor healthcare in terms of human resource and facilities, right? I'm not dwelling much on facility because that has always been a problem. In fact, in most African countries like that, the more sophisticated equipment and stuff, they are outside, they are not within the country. We've had that issue for years, many years. But then the new manpower and resource problem we are having now is a major concern. So if we're able to create an environment where doctors and nurses don't have to worry about their survival, have to worry about food, have to worry about housing, clothing, right? More like taking care of those that are taking care of others, right? The system has to be redesigned. Mentorship need to be restored. There are no structured mentorship system in the healthcare. A young nurse, a young medical practitioner just walks into the field, not looking up to anyone for guidance or anything, figuring out things by themselves, and it should be corrected, right? It should be corrected. So everything is centered around human resource. And then our educational system has to be improved as well. We need to do better in terms of education, do more of practical than theoretical. You can't have someone graduate as a midwife who has not taken one delivery, right? But it's happening
Yeah.
now, right? People are graduating as midwife. You ask them during an interview, because I conduct interview as well, and I see this, and it's heartbreaking, right? You see people graduate with the license, with the knowledge, or without the skill,
Mm.
right? Now you have everything you've always wanted, but now you cannot perform. And healthcare practitioners are not just, it's not all about license and certificates and qualifications. What can you actually do? It's the same question that goes around in, even in office. What can you do? So we need to double down on the kind of training, the emphasis of training that we are receiving now, right? When I train, they will tell you, uh, your you need to take at least, you know, 50 deliveries, 15 complicated, so uncomplicated numbers, right? Human beings, not you watched, right? And it declined. There's a decline in that quality of education. Decline. Now it's basically or more or less entirely theoretical, less practical. You know, the in fact the technological outburst now, AI and all this digitalized system of education, it has also contributed to the adulteration of the educational system.
Mm.
So that also has to change. That would be, find your why, right? Find your purpose, because the journey is hard. Even in the most ideal system, the perfect system, there will be bad days, there will be worse days, and then there will be good days, which are rare. Most of the time bad days, because you are taking care of sick people. If they are well, they wouldn't be in the system, they wouldn't be in the hospital. Of course, our work is not just to take care of those that are sick, but also those that are well. But yeah, my message would be that find your purpose within the healthcare system, right? That's one. Then two, give yourself opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn. Don't be in a hurry to jump into the most lucrative or paying opportunity. Give yourself opportunity. People are just running and running and I don't know where they are running to, right? There are sick people everywhere, right? And we are facing these challenges. And I'm talking like this doesn't mean I have money or everything figured out. No, the truth is, you can find happiness even in the small things if there is purpose attached to it. So I would advise, find your purpose, right? And then give yourself opportunity to grow, to learn, get a mentor, right? Sit down, teach yourself the ones you can. The ones you cannot, find someone who can teach you, right? At the end of the day, everyone has to produce value. You have to produce value no matter the field, right? Even in the health system, a patient might want to do a surgery and be selecting surgeon. I want this so doctor, I want this so doctor. Why are they selecting? It's based on value, right? So you need to be value. Your tag or your title is nothing. I'm a nurse, is nothing. Can you actually nurse? I'm a doctor, it's still nothing. Are you a good, what kind of a doctor are you? What do people know you for? They can bring, these titles can bring clients, right? Or it can make people approach you, but it won't keep them coming, right? It won't bring, so you can actually be in a position to help, but you are not able to help because you have not grown, You have not become better. You are
mm,
genuine, right? You are genuine with your care. You really care, you want to care, but you don't have the skill to care because you have not given yourself time to grow. You have not built yourself to be able, because the more you know, the more you can do and the more you can help. Yeah, there is definitely. I Although my hope is not really on the system anymore, right? I used to have
okay.
hope on the system, because, like I said, the challenge is not just down; it's also up, right?
Mm,
There are some contributions we have made to our problems, and there are others that has happened to us from the top, not caused by us, but from the top. So my hope, uh, I would say that will be on the fact that this generation we have a lot of people who are really hungry to know more, right? They want to learn. They they want to bring solution. So this new trend of uncertainties, and then a group of persons who are coming out of the system to find solution, because like what I'm doing with nurse esteem, there are a lot of other nurses like that who are bringing out ideas that are working outside the system, creating another system that work, or creating a system outside what it is now that work. I'm not looking at restoration. I'm thinking more of reformation, right? Let this old system crumble and perish, but let something new rise. Because at the end of the day, we know what our mission is to care, right? To take care of uh the society, individuals, and everyone in it. Once we understand our goal, our assignment, our mission, we we can have systems that take care of these things and are even more effective in it, right? Because when I mean systems, governments, associations, bodies, because we got to this failed state or level under their watch, under their leadership, right? So now we know what the problem is. That alone is hope, because a problem identified is a problem solved. We know what the problem is, and the generations before us, they really sat down, they didn't really do anything, they went along. But our generation have decided to do something about it outside the system, and truly truly that's the only hope I have, that something will emerge. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know how long it will take, right? But I'm
mm,
sure with the waking of technology, AI, and all this stuff, it's going to be happening really, really fast, really, really fast. People are going to look for real care.
yeah,
They'll look for real care, right? Because
yeah,
by the time you are sick, and the only thing you can find around is automated system,
yeah,
eh, it will clash with culture. It will clash with emotions. It will clash with fundamental value that people hold so dear. Now it's all about money, right? It's all
mm,
about money. But when you need real connection, real human, we will come back to care, and then we'll be waiting for them. We'll be waiting to to hold their hand, to give them a taste of what real care is, something they
yeah,
may have forgotten long, long time. So there is hope, but definitely not on the system. Yeah. All right. Nurse esteem is a word, right? It's a word that came out of a conviction. Like I've been able to identify that a major problem within my profession is lack of identity, right? There's low self-esteem, right, amongst basically amongst nurses. There could be in other in other professionals, but my service now is within this within the profession. So which I've identified as what we need is a nursing professional esteem, right? We need to build ourselves to the level where we rediscover old values. Take for example, the most popular name in nursing is Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale is a visionary. She she made a path in nursing that we are following today. Imagine a profession that came out of necessity, that came out of it was spontaneously formed. Like there is a need, who will solve the need? And somebody say, all right, let me solve the need. In fact, this is my area of passion. This is what I like doing. Let me solve the need and that. And then we come in our generation and make everything transactional. We've definitely lost the value, right? The compassion, the care, the empathy, the you know all these old values that are being lost to 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 trade by barter kind of healthcare system that we have, which is what care really is. So it's part of the things that made me to question how some of the issues that have brought us here as a profession, right? Where we have a lot of nurses who are not able to sustain their passion, right? They don't even have the identity of who they are, as a nurse, not to talk of building competence and excellence and leadership, which is a major problem in fact in the whole world, not just in nursing. And then uh, service and growth and learning and professional development. So all these things are things that I've put together as an area of focus in my book, because the book is not esteemed looking at the foundation. There are going to be a lot of other um, series within the nurse esteem. So what nurse esteem means is the meaning is nurse esteem is the consciousness of who you are as a nurse expressed in humility, right? The consciousness of who you are. Like I said, the at the very foundation of excellence, of uh, competence, of confidence, of leadership, of initiative is identity. The moment you can't tell who you are, you can master your act. And if you can't master your act, you can't become confident in your act. And if you're not confident in your act, you can't take initiative. And if you can't take initiative, it automatically means you can't lead. And if you can't lead, it means you can't grow, right? And if you cannot grow, it means you can't serve. So it is all connected.
Mm.
So the purpose of nurse esteem is to restore professional identity, right, within nurses. And then from there, we can build competence and confidence and leadership skills among us. So it will help us to get ready for the future, right? Because this future is very, very disruptive. The
Mm.
world, everything is just crazy right now. Crazy. Very, 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 very crazy. So we need nurses who can hold on to our fundamental value, which is our identity, right? And because No matter how sophisticated or technologically advanced we are still flesh and blood. The heart will still remain where it is. The eye will still remain where it is. The nose, everything, every part of our body will still remain where it is. There will still be pathogens in the air, right? There will still be sickness. There will still be cancer. There will still be whatever it is. So at the end of the day, we still need care. Women will still get pregnant and they will still give birth. There are things that cannot change, and there are things that should not change because we are still human beings. We'll still eat, we'll still drink water. So all these things are fundamental, and so is nursing care. So nurse esteem is designed to capture this value and hold it in a modern context so that we don't lose them. No matter how advanced and how the healthcare system is changing, we have something that we know carries our origin and our identity. All right. So it's
Yeah.
all in the book, and it's just a foundational copy yet, right? So yeah, that's